You know, it's been years. It's been years since I had a Facebook. I used my Facebook account to save videos of Sebastian and pictures.
Yeah.
Because I had hard drives fried on me and I lost pictures. And I was like, I need someplace digital. You know what? I can use my Facebook profile and just make it private and nobody can see it.
Yeah.
And I saved pictures there.
Wait, can we play a game? Can we play a game? You guys drink? I think we need a drinking game. Like every time Seth says something that alludes to like him being a victim, we gotta take a shot.
We need to do like a Cash App type thing, right? And then just send it all to stuff.
$1.
Every time this happens.
Then he could move out of his 900 square foot place, right?
Oh, that would be good. That would be good. We would all be passed out, everybody's saying. And the floor in 10 minutes.
That ain't no lie.
We would have alcohol poisoning, someone said.
Sebastian at the zoo. Videos of me and Sebastian at the zoo watching the piranhas eat because that's what he wanted to do. We had to make sure that we were one of the first ones into the zoo. We had to make sure that we had gotten all the way over to the fish area in there before they fed them, because they fed them at the same time, every morning. And we were there to watch all of like 15 seconds of them devour this huge chunk of meat. And he was like, that was awesome. And I couldn't even get my phone up, which was one of these old flip phones, to record it fast enough before they devoured it. Yeah. And I was like, well, you want some pictures of you next to the piranha? He was like, sure.
He loved the piranhas, bless his little heart.
And then off to watch the snakes, off to sit there and look at all the other animals, you know?
Don't forget about the piranhas.
So here's the thing too, and like I said, we were listening to this on our way home from Gatlinburg today. And my husband brought up a good point when I was listening to it. It's like, if you use Facebook to put your child's pictures on there, because as a tool, so that you'd always have the pictures, and it was private where nobody could see it anyway, why delete that? What would be the reason to delete that? It's private, nobody can see it but you. You're using it as a tool to keep pictures of your son. Like, what was the reason to delete that?
Wait a minute, he said he deleted it? Yeah, that makes no sense.
Makes no sense. But he said that he had all these pictures. He'd had, the computer fried or whatever, and got, all of his pictures were gone. All of his pictures were gone. So he decided he was going to use Facebook to have all of Sebastian's pictures on, but he just privated it. Isn't that crazy? Like,
yeah, like why delete it? That doesn't make any sense.
Why would you delete something that has all those memories on it, has all those pictures? It's private. Only you can see it anyway.
He's a liar. And the whole piranha story, it really bothers me because it makes me think of the story he told when Sebastian went to school and told them that daddy was going to beat his ass. Okay, right? And he was like, I didn't say that. I said I was going to bust his butt. Like, what's the difference to a 6-year-old? You know what I mean? Or however old he was at the time. But he used the intimidation tactic where he brought him home and played Mortal Kombat in front of him and was like, no, this is what an ass whooping looks like. And to me, no, Seth, that's not what an ass whooping looks like. That is not realistic at all. That is an intimidation tactic. And when I know that this is the way that he works, and I think about this piranha story, I wonder if it was really some sort of intimidation tactic that he was using on a regular basis on Sebastian to control him.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. That point is very interesting.
That makes you go,
So in the beginning of this interview, when he talks about that, people were saying something about him using the tactic of the Mortal Kombat or whatever, he said, at least I didn't show him a rated R movie. That's the same damn thing, if not worse.
It's the same thing. It's rated M. In fact, it's so funny because if you guys didn't know this, Mortal Kombat was actually the game that the entire rating system was designed because of. That game was so bad that they had to design a rating system for all video games because of this one specific game and how brutally gruesome it is. And not acceptable.
But if you're a 5 or 6 year old, you're still a baby. That was a baby. He was a baby, and you're showing him, and he said that he put it on the blood mode, which would be the worst mode.
Yeah, and then he changes his verbiage, and he's like, I didn't say beat your ass, I said bust your butt. Well, what does bust your butt mean to a 6-year-old who's watching Mortal Kombat? Because my mind is thinking bust. I'm thinking my butt's gonna blow up, or you're gonna cut it off or something. That's what I'm thinking about these Mortal Kombat, video games. I'm picturing it literally combusting and blowing up on screen because the wording that he uses, and I'm thinking of it's a 6-year-old. What's a 6-year-old to think? It's a 6-year-old autistic boy who's actually what, at the time, 4, 3? How old was he in the brain? Because they say he was underdeveloped. So how are you making sense of this in your head that this is rational to teach a baby this?
Yeah, and then he says after he shows it to Sebastian's like, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. And then Seth tells him, oh, just make this a learning tool or learning lesson that you have to watch. You have to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself on what you say. This is a baby. You're supposed to educate him. You're supposed to educate him. He said,
with Mortal Kombat,
yourself. You need to educate yourself. No.
No.
Us as parents educate our children.
Exactly.
Gosh.
Oh my goodness.
He's an animal lover. He's always been. Yes, cats are his favorite. We had a bearded dragon when we were in California. This was her name. She was beautiful.
Oh my
But when I wasn't allowed to have her, she died of scale rot. So did the next snake that Katie bought him.
So sorry.
What is scale rod?
I have no idea, but I feel like we have to take another shot because I feel another poor Seth moment coming on.
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, because he said that the lizard, the lizard and the snake both died of scale rot.
Scale rot, like their scales, like a scale rotted, like it got infected probably.
Maybe. And like everybody's saying, it's another shot at KP.
Yeah, he can't take responsibility for anything. They were his animals, but yet it's somebody else's fault that they died. Whatever the reason, he can't take responsibility.
We're looking it up. We'll tell you.
I know in the comments when I was watching this, people were saying that that is a really terrible way for that animal to die. And so not one, but two animals died that way.
Do you think it's weird? Because I think it's really weird that like every story that I hear about Christopher, all of a sudden I'm hearing an identical story from Seth that happened with him. Like, for example, at the beginning, Christopher got Sebastian snakes, and then he couldn't keep them because, well, Sebastian couldn't take care of the snakes, so he got rid of them all. And it was, so Chris was such a bad parent because he got rid of Sebastian's snakes. And I was like, I have a friend who raises snakes. These things are like a few grand a piece.
Yeah.
You know, he makes like 50 grand off of breeding snakes, my friend, a piece. He makes 50 grand a piece off of these snakes he breeds. So I'm like, this is not a small money game for, especially for a 15-year-old. You know, if he's not taking care of them, they have 30 snakes. I can understand him giving them up, you know, but now I'm hearing this story about Seth and the dogs and him giving up the dogs because Sebastian couldn't take, and I feel like I'm listening to the same exact story. The only difference is that the animal has changed.
Exactly. Instead of a cat, it's a dog.
Yeah, and then now it's like, and with the domestic violence and the whole DCF report or DCS, whatever you call it in Tennessee, he allegedly, right, was Christopher at first that was going to beat his ass and smack him with the belt. He went to school and actually over exaggerated the story to the principal or to the teachers, and Christopher was like, "You can't over exaggerate the story." And now all of a sudden Seth is telling an identical story. It's so weird. Is that just me or am I like?
Tammy. So scale rot is similar to wood rot in that it can breed in one damp area and spread throughout the structure or creature. In this case, the longer it goes unchecked, the more likely it is to create a larger problem. You're supposed to check regularly for early signs of scale rot. Skin or scales are cracked and crusty. So you treat it. If your reptile scale rot is further advanced than a mild case, your vet may need to prescribe antibiotic injections for the remedy or even sedate the animal to remove and clean the affected areas. So
obviously the animal was neglected is exactly what it means. Because when Gunnar had one of those lizards, I mean, it was so big that he would ride around with it on its shoulder. He had like a leash for it. I mean, this is an animal that you take up a lot of time with. He was always at the pet store buying all these crickets and stuff for him to buy. So that right there is just purely just neglect.
Hey,
Well, Seth said that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just have something to say real quick because if you're an 80s baby, then you know he's lying. First of all, you cannot turn Mortal Kombat where you turn it off and you don't see nothing. That's a lie. I played the game with my brother. I grew up with the game. And in order, at the end, when you're fighting your opponent and it says, finish him, you have to type on that controller a certain way. One, to either get rid of the you-know-what on the top part of the body or just more gruesome stuff. You have to know an exact code, how to press the button and move the up and down arrow for your player to finish off the opponent.
See,
Okay, so in order to see something fly, a portion of a limb or something fly, and the gruesomeness that takes place, you have to know what buttons to press, and you have to know exactly how fast to move that code. You cannot just turn Mortal Kombat off and on.
Right.
So I just want to point that I am an 80s baby. I played Mortal Kombat with my brother. That is a lie.
Huh, very interesting. Very interesting. Jamie, do you have something to say? No?
Can you hear me? I am so sorry.
I hear you now.
Okay, I was vacuuming.
Oh yeah, we heard a lot of noise. I had to mute.
I am so sorry. I didn't know you pulled me up. I love every one of y'all. Y'all are extremely amazing. I watch y'all all the time. But I think that for me, all of the things that Seth has said on all of this, it's all trying to revert all the problems back to Seth. I mean, not to Seth, but to Sebastian. And everything that has been said, it's like Sebastian was the problem. Sebastian done this, Sebastian done that. And it's almost like that he blames Sebastian for so many things that has went through. I mean, the snakes, the trouble with getting the law caught on them. I mean, everything about it has, in both.
Sure, I'm sure.
But you know that most of those people that were there, except for some of the FBI agents, I have their phone numbers. I could call them
Yeah.
because they've already reached out to me. I just didn't see the point of being there.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, I'll tell you, you weren't even there, and people were already losing their mind that you were. So it probably is a good thing that you didn't vote. It's ridiculous. This is what YouTube is. It's nuts. And when you have grievance, oh, it makes me so mad.
For the longest, I've been